Silbury Hill, with a covering of snow, is the nearest that any of us will get to seeing the great mound of gleaming white chalk that rose from the valley bottom over 4,000 years ago. To some, it's Britain's pyramid. To others, it's a place of enduring mystery. But few who pass it can fail to wonder at just what possessed our Neolithic ancestors to build it in the first place. We know that it's 160 metres wide, 30 metres high, and contains about 500,000 tonnes of material, largely chalk, making it the largest humanly constructed mound in Europe. It's estimated that it probably took about 4 million hours to build. Throughout the centuries, it's been explored by treasure hunters, by archaeologists, and by those who were simply curious to understand the hill's secrets. They dug into it from all directions, from above, from the sides. Their legacy, a network of tunnels. Which is why, on the last day of April this year, Silbury Hill saw the arrival of a convoy of heavy lorries carrying containers, offices, tools and machinery. The Silbury Hill Conservation Project had begun. Those centuries of archaeological investigation left their mark on Silbury, and in May 2000 a 14-metre hole suddenly appeared in the flat top of the hill. The most likely cause was the vertical shaft sunk by the Duke of Northumberland in 1776. English Heritage asked the civil engineering company Skanska to investigate and advise. Their first and most urgent task was to stabilise the top of the hill with chalk and polystyrene blocks. Another part of their investigation was to extract core samples. An archaeologist, Faulkner McAvoy, soon found evidence of the origins of the hill.
We're going to see the detail for the first time of the ground level that people were walking on when Silbury Hill was being built 4,000 years ago. Oh, yes. And there it is. Oh, it really looks nice. This is this black organic layer here, which is probably the remains of the topsoil and turf that people were walking on. And here's some trampling that's taking place. And what this will represent is actual people walking around, building the mound. And as they walk around, then on their shoes, they're trampling in, they're dropping chalk, they're walking about on an old soil surface, and everything's getting mixed in as they're walking around and building the mound. And that seems to be exactly what you're seeing here. And this mixture of the original soils and the chalks that they're using in the construction process.
The drilling also revealed voids in what should have been solid chalk. A small camera was lowered, and the grainy pictures it sent back soon revealed one of the metal supports for the 1968 tunnel. Though in no danger of actually collapsing, Silbury needed conservation work to stabilise it and protect it for future generations. The hill has been scanned using LiDAR, Light Detection and Ranging Survey, which uses a pulsed laser beam to build up a highly accurate, high-resolution model of the ground surface. This has provided both engineers and archaeologists with images to help them understand the hill and its surrounding landscape. This is just the latest in a long line of techniques used by archaeologists over the centuries to investigate this great earthen mound. Now, after years of research and planning, English Heritage has commissioned Skanska to return and reopen the tunnel first dug for a project televised live to the nation on BBC Two nearly 40 years ago. Once the mouth of the tunnel had been protected from the weather, the engineers began removing the old backfill as they began the journey into the hill. In a 4-month project, the latest techniques and technology will be used to return to the centre of the hill one last time, to stabilise it for future generations, and hopefully to provide more clues about when and how it was built. Fortunately, even after nearly 40 years buried deep in the chalk, the iron tunnel supports remained sound. But even so, each section that was opened up had to be carefully inspected and declared safe before the archaeologists were allowed to start their part of the investigation.
So it's just pushed in, and because the pad was up here, wasn't it? Yeah. That's what you expect in it. Yeah.
The first task for the archaeologists was to clear away the final traces of the backfill and expose the tunnel walls. This is where the clues about the building of the hill would lie. There were detailed records to be made, individual layers to be labelled and logged, drawn and photographed. A ditch that Professor Atkinson reported finding in 1968, and that may provide clues about the earliest stages of Silbury's construction, was also thoroughly investigated before being refilled. Not easy in the confined space of the tunnel. And a reminder of even earlier investigations, the intersection with the tunnel dug by Dean Merriweather in 1849.
And this is the Merriweather Tunnel here. This is actually the floor of the tunnel that they dug in 1849. So the 1849 miners would be walking up and down on this surface here. That's a bit of trample, original sort of trampling in of loose soil, etc. when they were digging it. And then all of this has collapsed into the Merriweather Tunnel because they left it empty without being backfilled. It was built to be, I think, 6 foot 6 inches high, so that they, not the miners but the visitors, the Reverend Dean Merriweather, could walk along here and keep his stovepipe hat on, so they wouldn't have to take their hats off as they perused and perambled their way along the tunnel line. As we're going this way, the tunnels are converging, and we're just in another arch, about another arch or two's time, then all the Merriweather Tunnel will then be within Atkinson. So that's where we are at the moment, at 26, ring 27 just appearing.
The tunnelling continued, despite the odd mechanical breakdown. It just meant going back to old, more manual ways of digging, so out came the shovels and wheelbarrows. But no matter how the chalk came out of the tunnel, it all had to be examined with great care, sorted by the on-site archaeologists in case something of scientific value lay waiting to be discovered. It may just look like chalk, but every piece was originally quarried by Neolithic builders using tools of antler and bone. So who knows what discoveries may lie in that very next lode?